His hand was uncomfortably warm, rough from years gripping a flight stick. But when Commander Jace Vance placed it over hers, the trembling stopped. Lyra stared at the tactical holomap, the blue light catching the crystalline ridges of her cheekbones. She had been sent here as a cosmic insult, a broken thing discarded by the Xylor sovereignty. But Jace wasn't looking at the map. He was looking at her. "Your call, Lyra," he said softly. The fate of 3 colonies rested in her throat, and for the first time in her life, someone trusted her to speak. It turned out the galaxy's most discarded royal didn't fall from grace. She was pushed. Sovereign Kalen's decrees still echoed in her ears, a cold dismissal masked as diplomacy. They measured her worth by her barren womb, determining that a princess who could not produce an heir was a dead end. So they packaged her off to the Solarian Union on Gaia Prime. It was a political marriage meant to humiliate her, a joke played on the star's most stubborn species. The dropship ride to the surface had been suffocating. The engine's hum vibrated through the metal hull, rattling against her hollow chest. When the ramp lowered into the blinding yellow light of the human colony, she braced herself for the sneers. She expected a prison of pity. Instead, Jace was waiting. No fanfare, no ceremonial armor. Just a man in a scuffed jacket with a tired, kind face. He didn't look at her like a broken vessel. He looked at her like an equal. When he led her into the command center, she kept her eyes on the floor, waiting for the inevitable confinement to some lavish, useless quarters. But Jace paused at a sprawling digital war table. "They sent me your file," he said, his voice a low, steady rumble. Lyra stiffened. Here it was, the confirmation of her uselessness. "Your predictive models on the Orion skirmish," Jace continued, pulling up a complex web of data. "You saw the flanking maneuver 3 cycles before their own generals did. It's brilliant work." She blinked, the sharp white light of the console reflecting in her wide obsidian eyes. "You read my tactical theses?" "Every single one." Jace leaned against the table. "We're a practical people, Lyra. We don't care about royal bloodlines or what your politicians say you lack. We care about what's in your head. And humanity measures worth by a brilliant mind." And just like that, the gravity of her entire existence shifted. She had expected isolation, but found a kingdom of belonging in the cramped humming rooms of Gaia Prime. Humanity had a strange way of looking at the universe. They didn't see broken parts. They saw raw potential. Over the next few weeks, the distance between them closed, not through grand gestures, but through the quiet rhythm of shared purpose. Late nights bathed in the soft glow of holograms, the bitter taste of human coffee that she secretly learned to tolerate just to stay by his side a little longer. She would trace defensive perimeters across the glass, her long blue-tinted fingers moving with impossible speed, and he would watch her, not with pity, but with undeniable awe. It was a quiet devastation, realizing that this human commander treated her with more reverence than her own family ever had. Genuine kindness was pulling her out of the dark, proving that family wasn't about blood. It was about who stood beside you when the alarms finally started to scream. The alarms didn't just ring, they tore through the command center like physical blows. Red emergency lighting bathed the room, casting long, sharp lines across Jace's face. The Drakon coalition had sprung their trap. What was supposed to be a standard trade negotiation on the border was a sudden, massive mercenary invasion. 3 dozen heavy cruisers dropped out of warp, their weapon banks already glowing with lethal intent. Panic rippled through the human officers, but Lyra didn't flinch. She stepped forward, her hands hovering over the digital war table. The heat of the console radiated against her palms. This was the moment she had trained for in the cold, silent halls of her youth, the scenarios she had run while her family debated her worthlessness. "Divert auxiliary power to the orbital defense grid," she commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. "They're attempting a pincer movement, but their port flanks are heavy. They expect us to turtle." Jace didn't hesitate. He didn't ask for a second opinion. He just keyed the comms. "You heard her. Execute." It turned out, what happens when the galaxy's most discarded royal becomes Earth's ultimate tactical weapon is nothing short of devastation. Lyra didn't just defend the colonies, she dismantled the invasion. She moved human fighter squadrons with a grace and brutality that left the Dracon commanders scrambling. Every time they tried to press an advantage, she had already sealed the gap. Ships collided in the dark. The enemy envoy, smug just moments before, was forced into a humiliating retreat, their flagship limping away with its shields shattered. When the final enemy vessel jumped to light speed, the command center erupted into cheers. But Lyra only heard the heavy, rhythmic thud of her own heart. Jace stepped close, the scent of overheated circuits and sweat clinging to him. He didn't cheer. He just reached out, his fingers brushing the edge of her wrist. A silent anchor. The main screen flickered, cutting off the local celebration. The towering, pristine image of sovereign Kaelin filled the room. News of the flawless defense had already reached the Xylor homeworld. Kaelin looked at Lyra, not with pride, but with the calculating hunger of a man who realized he had thrown away a weapon. "You have proven your utility, Lyra," Kaelin's voice echoed, cold and smooth. "Your exile is rescinded. Return to the sovereignty. You will be reinstated with full honors." The room fell completely silent. The humans watched her, the weight of the moment pressing down on their shoulders. She could go back. She could have the titles, the wealth, the false respect she had craved her entire life. She looked at Kaelin's holographic projection. Then she looked at Jace. His jaw was tight, his eyes dark with an emotion he was trying too hard to bury. He would let her go if she wanted. That was the beauty of this place. They gave her a choice. "No," Lyra said. The word was quiet, but it shattered the tension in the room. Kaelin's projection flickered in irritation. "You would choose this, dirt, over your blood?" "My blood exiled me," she replied, her voice steadying into steel. "These people armed me. A person's value is defined by what they build, Kaelin, not by what you say they lack. I am not returning." She cut the transmission herself. The screen went black. Truth is, she didn't just find a home here. She found a future. She turned to Jace, the tension finally leaving her shoulders as a rare, genuine smile touched her lips. There were thousands of outcasts out there in the dark, brilliant minds discarded by foolish empires. Together they would build an academy for them right here on Gaia Prime. They would turn the forgotten into the unstoppable. Jace's hand found hers again, his grip firm and warm. She held on, ready for whatever came next.